Hi, everybody. How are we doing today? Mary Ellen Benakins, Susan Jennings. How are you doing today, Sue?
I'm doing great. How are you, Mary Ellen?
I'm doing great. The real estate ladies of North Atlanta. So today we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the top 15 things your buyers should consider in their must-have list for home search. That's very interesting. I can't wait to talk about that. We're going to talk about Encore by Ashton Woods in Duluth. We're going to talk about what we love about North Atlanta, which is the colleges of North Atlanta in the area. And then we're going to talk about our design tip of the day. So let's dig into our community, our neighborhood highlight, which is we do that every single time in the beginning. We're going to talk about Encore by Ashton Woods, and that's in Duluth. So
yes, it is.
Tell us all about this community.
Well, this is a brand new community being built by one of my favorite builders, Ashton Woods, and it's located actually on Encore Boulevard in Duluth, and it's called Encore. The home prices are between $848,000 to $865,000.
Sure.
And Ashton Woods has this incredible reputation for design, for quality, and for creating exceptional homes. And they take into consideration the surrounding landscape and the culture of the area. And in this case, you're living right along the banks of the Chattahoochee River, which they've got a 146-acre master planned community with single-family homes and townhomes in Encore. And it's the convenience of city living, and it harmoniously intertwines with the suburban living and the beauty of the natural waterway and the historic area surroundings of this whole area. It's a great school district in Duluth, by the way. And Encore is close to both Atlanta and Alpharetta for work. It also has great access to shopping and restaurants, great dining in downtown Duluth. Close by is the Forum on Peachtree Parkway, and Avalon is also not far. After a long day, you can take a walk on the tree-lined trails around Encore and relax in the open space, the green space with friends. You could just watch your kids play, take your dog for a walk.
Sure.
You could just meet some friends and play a game of tennis with them if you wanted to. Or you can unwind at the pool. So Encore has a convenient and uncomplicated lifestyle for people.
Sure.
And so anyway, the homes are single-family homes that we're talking about today. They are 4 to 5 bedrooms, 3 to 4 baths, all have a half bath, and are between 3289 in square footage and 3956. They have 2 to 3 car garages, and there are 3 floor plans to choose from.
That's great. And I think that a lot of people think, oh my God, Atlanta's become so expensive. And yes, we talk about a lot of new construction here, and it is the new construction has gotten very expensive. You still can find some really good deals, depending on your price point, and in the North Atlanta area. So just don't think it's just like it's just expensive here. You can find some great homes. Most of the homes we talk about are more family homes, so they're bigger, but you can find those smaller 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom homes for, under $800,000. So just wanted to kind of put that out there, because sometimes people are like, oh my God, your area is so expensive, because we talked about affordability, but yet a lot of new construction, because after COVID, things went up in price so much because of getting lumber and getting things like that. So what you're finding is a lot of the new construction used to be very affordable, and now it's more of a luxury. But if you do find a home that is not new, you would get a better deal and a lower price on that.
Right. So Mary Ellen, what you and I are going to do over the next couple of weeks is take a drive around and show people what they can buy for $500,000, what they can buy for $750,000, what they can buy for $1 million. And what we'll do is we'll put some videos together of some of those neighborhoods so that all of you can see, what your money, what you can buy in Atlanta.
Right. Because some like we already did one on the Manor Golf and Country Club, which is very expensive. I mean, it's it's beautiful, but it's expensive. So the average person probably cannot, does not want to pay $1 million or $1.5 million to $2 to $3, $4 million for a house.
Right.
That's more for the luxury people, but we do have homes that are amazing in the $500,000 range, in the 400, the 600 and 700. So just got to put that out there, because I know sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, so expensive, but it's not. We can help you find whatever you're looking for at whatever price point you are.
So this is what triggered my thoughts as far as putting today's podcast together, in terms of asking our buyers, what's on your wish list? But we wanted to, some people don't think of all things. So I wanted to put together a pretty comprehensive podcast of 15 potential things that you really should think about when you're putting your must-have or your buying search list together. You can call it your must-have list, your wish list. Sometimes we have to make sure people understand the difference between what you can afford and, what you must have versus what you'd like to have, type of thing. So we try to be realistic with people and keep you in your price range and so forth. And that brings me to the first one on our list, and that's budget. Right. So buyers need to have a clear idea of what they can afford, what their financial limit is, and that includes getting a mortgage pre-approval, which we've talked about many times. We also like to take into consideration taxes, insurance, HOAs, and maintenance costs when we talk to our buyers about their budget. We stay out of your financials, but we do keep you in budget.
Yes, definitely take. We don't listen. We don't even talk to the lenders about it. We're just like, hey, what do you feel comfortable with? And some people, live below their means, so they're going to do something less. But then sometimes they realize that their wants and that's how we're here. We're to location, wants and needs, and budget, and put it to where it works for you. Because sometimes your wants and needs, might be a little higher than what you want to spend, because some people I want to spend this because I want to keep my mortgage payment around that. And then they even though they can afford more, they want to keep conservative, but then they realize that if they just go up a little bit more, they probably can get all their wants and needs. So
right. And I try to be realistic with people, and I prefer not to show people a home that's outside of their budget, too high above their budget, because I don't want them to fall in love with a home they can't afford and can't buy. So, we look at all of their must-haves and all of their needs, budget being one of them, before we look at a house. The second we do take into consideration is location. We want to make sure you are in a reasonable proximity to work, because we do have a lot of traffic here in Atlanta. Commute can be quite daunting. We want to make sure you're in an area where it's convenient for you to go shopping and get the things that you need. Also, that your kids are in the schools that you want them in. We take into consideration, the ease of public transportation, community amenities, and, parks and entertainment as a whole when we look at an area. So location is the second thing that we look at.
And location is what everybody says about real estate all the time. So location is important, but sometimes you have to go further out than where you want to because of your budget. So I think it's really important to stick to that budget, and then you're going to have to compromise on something, whether it's you go higher in budget or you go a little further away from the ultimate location where you want to be.
Right.
All right. So the next one,
we're drilling down on the search to find the best possible home for your family. Within location, we then focus on neighborhoods. And there are so many wonderful neighborhoods in the North Metro Atlanta area in particular, where we are. And there's so many nice amenities in all of these neighborhoods too. So we look at factors that include walkability, crime rates, future development plans of the area, the overall feel of the neighborhood, how family friendly it is, if that's the type of lifestyle you want, whether it's urban, whether it's quiet neighborhood. We prioritize these as far as what your needs are, because this is all about you.
Yes. And I think one thing that's really important is that we cannot say, oh, this is a low crime rate, or this is a good school, or whatever. So we will give you the tools to come up to make sure that when you're making a decision about purchasing a home, that it's within your criteria, because ethically we cannot say, oh, the crime is really high here, or the schools are good. And everyone has a different number on what schools are. So we give you the right tools for you to ultimately come up with that information. So.
Right. And everybody seems to have a phone and they have access to the internet, and you can look up, the details and the demographics of any particular area that you're looking at. And we encourage you to do that. We cannot do it for you, though.
Perfect. So number 4, we're up to number 4, size and layout. Oh my God, that's an interesting one.
We've stayed in budget. We've picked a location. We've got it narrowed down to a few neighborhoods we really like. Now we also focus on the size of the home and the layout. So if you are, if your family composition requires that somebody have a bedroom on the main, whether it's the master on the main or whether it's a guest on the main because you have relatives that come in from out of town that can't do stairs, we want to make sure that we find a home that fits that criteria. So, and what I tell people, it's not the square footage of the home so much as it is the layout of the home that's important. Sure. You can have a home that's a lot larger square footage, but doesn't feel as open or doesn't have the movement and the layout of the house that feels comfortable to you. And that larger home can actually feel more chopped up and not as spacious to you. So really focus on the layout as opposed to the square footage is what I'm saying to you. And also don't just focus on your current needs, but focus on your future needs. So if you're anticipating, retiring soon, take that into consideration as to where you are and what stage of your life you are in.
And I think one thing that everybody always says, and Sue will probably say the same thing, what do you want? I want an open floor plan. And what does that mean to people? Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks of an open floor plan differently. So I think that is one of the questions that people always will say, I want an open floor plan. No one ever says they want a closed.
No, but what people don't understand, if they've never lived in an open floor plan before, there's a couple things they should consider. One is the noise factor with open floor plans. Open floor plans actually can carry the noise a little bit more than other types of floor plans can. They can be harder to decorate too, because you've got to make transitions between a kitchen area, a dining area, maybe a living room area, and transitioning your color scheme or transitioning, your furnishings from one area to another can be a little tricky sometimes. I just met with someone last evening and they said to me, I don't like my open floor plan as much because I don't have the wall space to hang some of my art and some of my things that I've made on these walls anymore.
Yeah.
So
there's so much to consider, but I would say that that's a topic that people always talk about is whenever it's open floor plans. So that's kind of what it is. All right. So
this leads us into number 6. Number 6 is
number 5.
I'm sorry. Did I miss number 5? I did.
Yes, you missed number 5.
Number 5 is a big one here in Atlanta. How dare I miss this one? It's outdoor living, outdoor space. I mean, whether you need a yard for your pets or whether you like to garden or whether you've got kids or whether you want to entertain guests, you really need to take all this into consideration as to whether you want a pool or whether you need a deck or whether you need, a yard or a garden or whether you don't want any of that at all. So that type of space needs to be taken into consideration when we're looking for a home. Because if you don't want a big yard to take care of, I'm not going to show you a house with a 3-acre backyard. It just doesn't make any sense. Why waste your time, when you're trying to find your perfect home?
People that don't live here, Sue, we kind of have to explain that a lot of people look for flat backyards. And it's a little challenging to find a flat backyard because we have so many hills here. So it's not like you're in Florida where everything is totally flat. You're going to see a lot of hills here. So people are like, well, I want flat area. That's why a lot of these subdivisions in Atlanta have a playground, and they have like an area where the kids can kick the soccer ball and that kind of stuff in their community instead of having it in their yard. So you will have different types of yards. So that's another thing that I would say a lot of people don't realize when they do come here from other parts of the country, that it is a little bit challenging to find a totally flat backyard.
Right. Because of our building codes here, the houses might be different from the area that you're moving from or moved from. Lots that are totally flat generally have a slab home on them. And lots that are on a hill generally have a basement home on them, because here in the Atlanta area and in Georgia, we have to have egress from a basement. So, every basement that you see on a home is going to have a door and an exit, windows and so forth out of that basement. So if that's not something you're interested in, you might want to consider a slab home.
Correct.
So, these are conversations that we have with our buyers as to, what works best for their needs.
Yeah. And it's like I said, the same thing. It's like, there used to be mostly all the houses had basements, and now you're seeing a lot of places they're cutting all the trees down, they're putting everything flat. And that's, sometimes people want that. I love the trees around the area. I think it's amazing, but builders will come in and they'll make everything flat because that's what people want. They want flat. So,
right. So Atlanta was built in a forest. We are right at the foothills of the North Georgia mountains. So there are a lot of trees in the city of Atlanta, as well as in, the North Metro Atlanta area where we are. A lot of the cities, such as the city of Alpharetta, do have arborists on staff that work for the city. And if a new home is built, the arborist has to approve or disapprove any of the trees that need to come down and what needs to be done to remediate that situation, so that there are trees being replanted and so forth. So at least in like an area like Milton and Alpharetta and even Roswell, you are not going to see totally flat properties without trees, because I can guarantee you the city, for the new builds, has a plan for what that builder is required to do to put trees back into the community, to make them tree-lined streets and trees in the yards and so forth and so on.
And it's so pretty during the spring and the fall. So, I mean, I think that that's something else that you realize, that since we are at the foothills of the mountains too, that during the spring, you're going to see everything blooming. And then in the fall, you're going to see the fall colors. So that's kind of
right.
Cool. So,
right.
All right. Well, what's the next thing? Number 6.
Number 6 on our list is the style of home and the age of the home. Some buyers have preferences as to whether they want new construction or whether they want, an older home. Some people like traditional homes. Some people like historic homes. Some people like to do their own renovations and make it their own home. So some people want a totally move-in ready home. So these are the types of things that we need to talk about before we go out looking for a home. And so it's really your preference as to, what type of home you're looking for as far as age and style.
Yeah. And another thing is, most homes here, at least in the last 20 years, have been traditional homes. We're going to see a lot now, where we see a lot of farmhouse homes, which have become very popular. But I would say average homes right here in the Atlanta area is very traditional, where you walk in and on one side you have your living room, and the other side you have your dining room, which most of the second living room space, people are making offices. So anyway, that's just traditionally known here in Atlanta, if you're not familiar with Atlanta.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So number 7 on our list of buyers need to put on their must-have list is schools. We cannot research the schools for you. But we can suggest to you that you do your own research on the individual school websites or on greatschools.org. You should look at future planning as far as not just the elementary school, but the middle school and the high school as well. Research all those school ratings. And if you have time, Go visit the schools. Go tour the different high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, because there's different types of educational programs that are available. We do have a number of private schools as well. We have STEM schools. We have charter schools. Those might be a better option for your family as well. So you need to do all that research.
And with the advance of schools now, it's amazing what opportunities these high schools have. Like certain schools, you can do certain kind of things that you can't do in other schools. So you could go to, you could transfer from one school to the other, depending on if that's what you're, you want to, favor and do. So it's very interesting. Times have really changed with high schools. I find that there's so much opportunity in a high school now. It's kind of like going to college. They have different, subjects and different avenues which you can go into. So,
well, through the University System of Georgia, there are opportunities for high school students to take some college credit classes before they even graduate from high school. So that's something you might want to talk to your high school guidance counselor about once you get settled into a particular school system.
Sure. And a lot of people don't know that because that's just Georgia. So, all right, number 8.
The commute time. We all love traffic, don't we?
Love it. Don't go out.
You need to take into consideration the travel time, whether you're going to work or to school or other activities, other destinations, and keep this in mind because it does affect your convenience and your quality of life in the area.
Sure.
Just last evening, it probably took me 45 minutes to go about 5 miles.
Ooh, we don't even say that.
I was down in the Buckhead area, though. I wasn't in North Metro.
No, you just have to know. You just have to know the right times to go out and do things, right? Or
it was 5 p.m. when I was doing that.
You just have to be mindful. That's all.
Right.
It's sometimes it's not that bad. There must have been an accident or something. Who knows?
Exactly.
Right. So
there's always a lot of road construction here too, because they're always widening our roads and improving our roads. And kudos to them, because once the roads are finished, you're like, wow, this is great. How did we ever live without this before? But going through the process can be a little painful at times.
Yeah, especially they are doing tons of amazing work. So that actually has been holding us up a little bit too, because there are certain areas right now around Alpharetta that they are doing the construction. So it is a little challenging, but it's all good. It's just a little challenging, not a lot. All right. So number 9.
Storage and flexibility. So we talked a little bit about basements before, but what about garage spaces? What about closets? What about, future flexibility to expand, for home offices, for guest rooms, expanding your family? So storage and flexibility are something that, maybe the home doesn't have it today, but can you see potential in it? That's one thing you might want to consider when you're thinking about your must-haves on your list for your buyers.
Yeah, that one's interesting. All right, number 10. That's always a good one. Number 10 is resale value. Let's talk a little bit about resale value. Let's make my garage into an office. No, don't do that. Or a bedroom. Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
Don't do that. No. Okay.
Yeah. So we often see people like finishing their basement, which is great, but they're quote unquote putting a bedroom in the basement. And unless there is a
closet,
a window,
and a door,
and access to a bathroom, it doesn't really qualify as a full-on bedroom addition to the house as far as value of the house and resale value of the house. So just consider that when you're doing any renovations. But if you don't plan on moving again, you need to consider all of these features and maintain the home so that you can increase the value of the home over time, because location's not going to change, but how well do you take care of the home and what upgrades you do to the home, and local market trends are going to dictate the resale value of the home.
Yeah, and this is very controversial too when it comes to resale or revalue of a home. So when you're doing something to your home, you're never going to get 100% back on whatever you put into it.
Yeah.
It's really it's kind of like driving a car off the lot, a brand new car off the lot. You're losing money. So I know that a lot of people are like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to get the resale value, but you will get a percentage of the resale value. And most people in the Atlanta area, from experience of 20 plus years in the real estate market, is that people want something that is move-in ready, that they can make it their own, but they don't want to gut the house. Okay.
Right.
So remember that you should maintain your house to what's trending. And I know that will cost some money, but it's just like anything else. You've got to put money into something to get money out of it. So,
Right. One of the best returns I think that sellers can get on their home is to put a fresh coat of neutral paint on the walls in a current color that is maybe considered a trending color, whether it's a white or a beige or a grayish or whatever it is. A fresh coat of paint on the walls goes so far as the return on your investment, because buyers are looking for well-maintained homes. They're looking for homes that have been upgraded. Kitchens and bathrooms are key. They do not want to have to come in and take care of wood rot. They do not want to come in and have to immediately gut the kitchen or gut the bathrooms. They do not want to come in and have to put a new roof on the house immediately. They really do want move-in ready homes for the most part. So as far as your future resale value, it really depends upon how well you've taken care of it every day and every year that you've lived in the home.
Sure. You don't just you don't live in a house for 30 years and do nothing. You know what I mean?
There are a lot of people though that do.
And they think that they can get top dollar for a house. And it's like we have to come in and be like the good cop, bad cop type person, like good cop, bad cop, saying, well, in order to get this price, you need to do this, this, and this.
Right.
And you're gonna have to put some money into it. Or if you want to sell it like this, then you're not going to get top dollar for it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Well, we can move on.
Have to be priced appropriately to sell if there's, issues and things that are in deferred maintenance with the home.
Sure. Okay. So the next one, number 11, is a good one. It's called energy efficient. So
energy efficiency. I can't even tell you how many times I've had buyers walk into a house and immediately tap on the windows to see if they're single paned or double paned windows.
Yes.
Buyers don't really like single paned windows. They like the double paned, insulated energy efficiency of the double pane windows. They will always go into the basement or the storage area where the hot water heater is, where the HVAC system is. And they will immediately say to me, "What year was this installed?" And I'll stand there with my light on my iPhone and I will try to see if I can find an install date. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But buyers love newer windows. They love insulation, solar panels, energy efficient appliances, like newer appliances in kitchens, anything that will help save on utility bills and reduce the environmental impact are key.
Yeah. And water heaters. Don't they want those nice water heaters? They don't want.
Yeah. Or the tankless ones are great.
That's what I'm saying.
Cost a little bit more, but
well worth it. I mean, tankless. I'm a tankless all the way. Tankless water. Sorry, that's just me.
Yeah. Anyway. After living in a house one time where the bottom of the tank sprung a leak and flooded my basement while I was away, it was a lovely thing to come home to. Yeah.
Yes, we don't like that. We don't like it. Always happens when you're away. You know what I mean? The AC breaks or the heat breaks. Always when you're away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Murphy's Law. Okay.
So number 12 on our list today is natural light.
Oh, yes. That's one of my favorites. My favorites is natural light.
Right. Buyers love windows that bring in the sunshine, that aren't closed up, and don't have the blinds drawn shut, tight as can be when they walk in the house. Light in a house really affects people's moods. It can really affect first impressions that a buyer has of a home too, if they walk in and the house is dark. Buyers in general prefer homes with large windows, skylights even, and a specific home orientation. So that the family room and the majority of the windows face the south so that you get a lot of natural sunlight in those areas that you're going to be living in most of the time.
And what's really important too that I don't think a lot of people do when they do look at houses is where is the sun rising and where is the sun setting? Mm-hmm. And like, is the sun in your face, in your kitchen, and that kind of stuff. So I think it's always important to know where the sun is and how it comes in, especially here. The sun is very, very bright and very, very hot. And you don't want the sun in your kitchen when you're cooking dinner every night. You don't want that. No, definitely not. So right. I always think it's important. I think sometimes people don't realize that, but that is something that if you move in a house and the sun's in your kitchen, you're going to regret it.
Right. The other thing the next thing on my list that buyers really, really love are technology and smart home features. They love Ring doorbells. They love, thermostats that are, up to date. They have built-in features that will automatically, cool down when you're, going to sleep at night, that shut the AC to a lower level when you're out of the house during the day, things like that. They like security systems. They like lighting controls, like extra exterior lighting, motion lights, things like that. They also like high-speed internet, which everybody thinks is kind of a standard thing. But as I've found in some of the older homes, things like that are not a given necessarily, and the house has hopefully been retrofitted for that. But when those homes were built, that sort of thing didn't exist. So that is something you need to check on.
Definitely. And remember, every house you go in has a camera and they're watching you. So it's like,
be careful.
That song, like, always feel like somebody's watching you. That's like what I tell people. I'm like, you're going to go into homes, you're going to, walk through homes and they're watching you and they're listening to you. So if you get out of the house and then talk, don't talk in the house. Or even at the Ring doorbell, because people will listen to you. Like, I love it. I rang somebody's doorbell the other day because I needed something from somebody. And the neighbor was like, who is this? I'm like, well, don't you see me on the Ring doorbell? Like, I was like, it's your neighbor. And it like took them forever. Like, they're afraid it's like someone's listening. It's like, your neighbor, I need to give you something. You know what I mean? And you're like, okay, so.
Well, those Ring doorbells can see usually the entire driveway and out to the street. So even when you pull up and you're looking at the home for the first time, those homeowners can see you when you get out of your car and everything else. So
yes, so just be mindful. Mindful of that one. Okay.
Right.
Number 14.
Future home improvement potential. So buyers want to know whether it's going to be easy or difficult to make upgrades or extensions to meet their future needs. And so that's why they need to consider whether they want a finished basement before they purchase the home, or whether they'll buy a home that has an unfinished basement so they can finish it themselves in the future, and make additional rooms. So people need to be able to look ahead and see potential in a house.
Yep. That's always, it's kind of like sometimes you have to, like, if there's too much furniture in a house or whatever, the color is purple or pink or something that's just not good, you just kind of have to oversee it and look at the potential. So sometimes you have to just step back to move forward. Got it.
Right.
All right. And number 15 is always one of my favorites, community amenities. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Does the community have tennis courts? Does it have a pool? Does it have a gym? Does it have a basketball hoop? Does it have a golf course? Is there a playground in the neighborhood? These are all, items that are of value to certain people and not to other people. It's all about their lifestyle, but it is something to consider, because if the community, for instance, has amenities that you don't need, consider that you're paying for that in the HOA. And maybe that's not a community you should be buying into if you don't want to pay for that in the HOA. But on the other hand, maybe those are features that you must have in your community so that your kids have someplace to go and other kids to play with and things like that. So really take that into consideration, because you ultimately are or are not paying for those things.
And if you live, I just want to say one thing.
Yeah.
If you live in an HOA, you're going to have to pay.
Right.
And it is what it is. This is what the payment is. If you don't want to live in a community, then that's fine. But every HOA is going to have issues, and they're going to have rules that you have to follow. And a lot of people don't like that. So just be mindful of what you can do with the covenants and the not covenants. So people will actually want to see all that stuff before they put an offer on a house or during their due diligence period, to make sure they're allowed to do the things that they want to do. And you can't paint your house purple or polka dots. That's going to happen in most HOAs. But it also maintains the continuity of the neighborhood too, as well. And Sue, you were going to say one more thing. What were you going to say about community amenities?
Well, if you buy in a neighborhood that does not have an HOA, keep in mind your neighbor is allowed to paint their house purple down the street, or they are allowed to park their boat in the driveway, and there's nothing you can do about it. So it works both ways.
Yeah, I mean, you have to make a decision and abide by it. But, we both came from the north, and there was no such thing as, we had neighborhoods, but there was no like subdivision and HOA fees and everything like that.
Right. No.
And then we moved to the south, and that's like what it is. So
Right.
That's just the way it is here in North Atlanta. There are lots of communities without HOAs, but I would say if you're looking for lifestyle, which is most people, you're going to be in an HOA community.
Right. So the things that we talked about today, there were 15 items that we listed out. Just keep in mind as buyers to stay focus on what matters most to you. And keep that in mind at all times while you're doing your home search. Share that home search criteria with your realtor so that they can keep you on track and focused. All these additional factors can help you in your home search, and they can help you feel like you're more in control, that you have the lifestyle you want, and that you have the long-term goals that you desire.
Thanks, Sue. All right, so let's move into what we love about North Atlanta. That there's so many colleges in this area, and so let's kind of go into that.
So we are very fortunate here in the state of Georgia as far as the public schools, as far as universities and colleges. We do have the University System of Georgia, which incorporates a vast number of schools and universities and colleges. And we are fortunate in this state in that we do have the Hope Scholarship Program. And if you graduate from a Georgia high school and you have a certain grade point average, you can qualify for a Hope Scholarship to a Georgia State University, one of the schools in the University System of Georgia. If you have an even better GPA coming out of high school, you might qualify for a Zell Miller Scholarship, which is 100% tuition reimbursement as opposed to 80%, which is what Hope is. Now, that's still a phenomenal penny about being a resident of Georgia and graduating from a Georgia high school. So the schools that are involved in the University System of Georgia, just to name a few, and there are more, but there's Georgia Institute of Technology, which is the MIT of the South, in my opinion. There's Georgia State University, which is a very large university and really is changing the lives of so many people and has phenomenal programs to to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Clayton State University is another one. Georgia State University is over in the Kennesaw area. And Georgia Gwinnett College is one. And then University of West Georgia is another one, just to mention a few.
We also have UGA, Go Dogs.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
you didn't even say that, Go Dogs. So we have that one as well.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of Dogs fans coming after me now.
Exactly. So there's a lot of schools in the Georgia area, Metro Georgia area. So if you needed to commute to a college, you could, but what's the fun of commuting when you can live on campus and have the whole experience. But being a Georgia resident, you do have the opportunity of those great scholarships. So just wanted to tell about what we love about North Atlanta. So the design tip of the day is going to be, what is it going to be today, Sue?
I always have trouble picking paint colors. I don't know if other people do or not, but I always read the reviews on, and I look on YouTube for reviewers of paint colors, and does the paint color I'm picking pull purple, or does it pull pink, or does it look gray in certain lights? How is it impacted by the orientation of my room? Say my room's east facing versus a south facing room. So the best way to resolve this issue is to get some foam boards, get the small pint samples, and paint them with your preferred paint color, and then look at them at different times of the day. Carry them around the room. Another thing you could do that's a little bit more expensive, but a whole lot more convenient and a lot less messy, is get these large sheets, and you can see how big these are. They're from Sample Eyes, and Sample Eyes will, they work with Benjamin Moore, they work with Sherwin-Williams and some of the other paint manufacturers, and they will provide you with this large sample of particular paint colors that you're interested in. Now, there is a small fee for this, but they do, you could just go online, you order the colors, and if you order a certain number, you get like 2 extra free. So that's kind of nice. And you just basically pay for the shipping, and they send you these. I got these like overnight. They came really, really fast. And so I can take it and hold it up on my wall at different times of the day and see, whether I'm going to like that paint color, whether it's going to go with my my sofa and my rug and my other furnishings in the room, and also just see if I'm seeing maybe a purple in it or a pink in it, or a too much yellow might be something that I don't want to see. So I do recommend testing your paint colors before you actually paint your walls, because that can be
I was just going to say,
just
paint the walls and then regret it. No, we don't want to do that. So anyway, so that was like, that's like something I learned today, that, you can, like, I know you can get little samples, but I didn't know, like, those boards are big, because you can walk around the house and put them in different rooms at different times of the day and kind of look at the colors, because it's amazing how things will pop out, whether it's like a yellow or a blue, and you're like, oh, I thought that color had none of that in there. So
right.
Great tip.
So these samples from Sample Eyes also do have an adhesive back that you can actually stick them right on the wall. They do have enough peel and stick ability that you can move them a couple times and then they won't stick anymore. But they really are very, very helpful for both the interior and the exterior paint colors on your home.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We had really a great day of talking about a new community in Duluth. And then we talked about 15 things plus more. We talked about a lot of different things about what buyers should consider when they're, searching for their must-have list of homes. We talked about how we love the colleges in North Atlanta area. And the design tip of the day, I think that was you nailed it on that one. That was all talking about painting and how to get boards to kind of look at painting in different times of the day. Thanks, Sue, so much for spending time with us today. And we're the Real Estate Ladies of North Atlanta. Follow us on our socials and let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.